Theresa May suffered a fresh blow tonight as an amendment tabled by Tory MP Dame Caroline Spelman to reject no deal under any circumstances was passed by 312 votes to 308. The proposal, which is not legally binding, was added to a motion put forward by the Prime Minister which would have ruled out no deal on March 29 but kept it on the table for further talks. Mrs May initially gave her party a free vote on the government motion to avoid mass resignations, but in a surprise turn of events after the Spelman amendment won by a wafer-thin majority, Tories were ordered to oppose it, and in chaotic scenes Mrs May voted against her own proposal. However, 17 Tory rebels teamed up with Labour and it was passed by 321 votes to 278, a number of ministers, including Work and Pensions Secretary Amber Rudd, Business Secretary Greg Clark and Justice Secretary David Gauke abstained rather than vote with the Prime Minister. Meanwhile, the Malthouse Compromise amendment was rejected by 374 to 164. MPs have voted to block a no-deal Brexit. Image Getty. This called for an agreement until the end of 2021, during which time the UK would follow EU rules and keep up payments to the bloc while a full trade deal was thrashed out. The amendment was supported by key Brexiteers, including European Research Group Chair Jacob Rees-Mogg. Speaking after the string of votes, Mrs May said, "The House has provided a clear majority against leaving without a deal. However, I will repeat what I said before. These are about the choices this House faces. The legal default in EU and UK law is that the UK will leave without a deal unless something else is agreed. The onus is now on every one of us in this House to find out what that is. The options before us are the same as they always have been," and she raised the possibility of bringing her divorce agreement back for a third time. She said, "If the House finds a way in the coming days to support a deal, it would allow the government to seek a short limited technical extension to Article 50 to provide time to pass the necessary legislation and ratify the agreement we have reached with the EU." The Prime Minister added that there would have to be a much longer extension, requiring the UK to take part in European Parliament elections in May if MPs would not back a deal. Theresa May suffered another Brexit defeat tonight. Image PA. But Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn demanded Parliament take control of Brexit. Today a vote will take place on whether to push back the UK's departure from the bloc. Despite tonight's moves to block no deal, it currently remains the default option. Mr Rees-Mogg told Sky News, "We live under a system of law and a motion passed in Parliament does not override the law. This vote is very interesting, and the government may or may not pay attention to it, but it is not binding. It is not law." The EU reacted to the vote against no deal by saying, "Brussels has an agreement with Mrs May and they're ready to sign it." A European Commission spokeswoman said, "There are only two ways to leave the EU, with or without a deal. The EU is prepared for both. To take no deal off the table, it is not enough to vote against no deal. You have to agree to a deal." The Prime Minister could bring her Brexit deal back for a third time. Image PA. "We have agreed a deal with the Prime Minister and the EU is ready to sign it." It comes a day after Mrs May's divorce agreement was dealt a second humiliating defeat. MPs rejected her withdrawal agreement by a majority of 149, despite new concessions from Brussels on the Irish backstop.